I'll never forget that smell, a mix of jet fuel, sweat, and cheap cologne clinging to my uniform as I climbed the stairs to her condo. I'd pulled a double shift at the hangar in Richmond, thinking I'd surprise Dana with flowers and a late dinner. 12 years married, and I still thought things like that mattered. My name's Ray. I'm 34 years old, and I work as an aircraft technician. I thought I had a solid life. A good job. A decent home. A wife who smiled at all the right moments. I didn't think to question any of it, until I opened that bedroom door. At first, I didn't see him, just a mess of tangled sheets and Dana's bare leg stretched out like she was sunbathing in someone else's life. Then the movement. His voice. Laughter. The pilot lived 2 floors up. I'd seen him a few times by the elevators. Sunglasses indoors, always talking about himself. That night, he was in my bed. Ray. Dana didn't even bother covering up. Her voice was flat, like I'd interrupted a podcast she wasn't that into. Aya, what the hell is this? I stood frozen, key still in my hand. She looked over at him, and then back at me, like she was trying to figure out who should be more annoyed. Why are you home? She asked, more irritated than guilty. No tears. No panic. No explanation. Just annoyance, like I'd walked in on her ironing. He sat up then, bare chest, smug face, and offered a fake smile. Hey, man. Didn't know you'd be back this early. I didn't respond. I didn't scream or throw anything. I just turned and walked out, flowers still in hand. That was the last time I saw the inside of that apartment. The next few days felt like falling downstairs in slow motion. She didn't ask me to stay. She didn't beg. Just sent a few half-hearted texts about needing space. I moved into my buddy Kyle's spare room. Twin bed, peeling paint, a window that stuck shut. That's when I started digging. I opened our shared laptop, scrolled through her messages, her old emails, the stuff she didn't bother deleting. There it was, months of texts, dirty jokes, travel plans with him, dinner receipts, photos. One where she's kissing his cheek in front of our bathroom mirror. Same towels, same stupid monogrammed robe I bought her last Christmas. Turns out it wasn't just the pilot. There had been others. One she met at a conference. Another she kept in touch with from college. All tucked into different corners of her phone like bookmarks. The real twist? My sister Lena was in on it. Not the affair, exactly. But during the fallout, she started showing up at Dana's side. Brunch photos. Shopping bags. Spa days. All paid for by the pilot's wallet, or maybe Dana's. I don't know. I just know Lena stopped returning my calls. I'd helped Lena for years. Paid off her credit cards twice. Let her crash at my place when her ex left. I gave her money without asking questions because I figured that's what brothers do. Now she was laughing in pictures next to my ex-wife, like I'd never existed. I texted her once, asked why she was doing this. She wrote back, "Don't make me pick sides, Ray. This isn't about you." But it was. It always was. Everything I thought I'd built, my marriage, my home, my family, was gone. Not stolen. Just handed away, like it never mattered. That was the night I realized I was on my own. The studio apartment smelled like mildew and old takeout. The ceiling had a brown stain that spread a little more each week. I didn't unpack most of my stuff. Just kept it all in boxes against the wall, like I was still hoping this was temporary. It wasn't. After the first week, I stopped calling my parents. They weren't exactly eager to talk anyway. When I finally did pick up my mom's call, she opened with, "Well, honey, maybe you should have handled it better." Handled it better. Your dad says not everything is black and white, she added, her voice lowering like she was about to reveal classified intel. Dana made a mistake. Don't throw away your marriage over one mistake. I remember staring at the phone like it was about to punch me. One mistake. She sighed. Relationships take work, Ray. Sometimes you have to compromise. Talk it out. Be the bigger person. Be the bigger person. The phrase echoed in my head while I sat in a broken office chair eating canned chili and drinking gas station energy drinks for dinner. They didn't care. Not really. They just didn't want the family name dragged through anything messy. The truth? Nobody wanted to deal with my pain. They just wanted me to shut up and move on so the group text wouldn't feel awkward. Meanwhile, Lena was posting pictures at rooftop bars with Dana and the pilot. There was one where they were at some wine festival, all wearing matching lanyards and sunglasses. The caption said, "Surround yourself with people who lift you higher." I almost threw my phone. That grocery store run broke me. I was halfway through the frozen meals aisle when I spotted Lena near the checkout line, balancing a basket of gourmet snacks and talking to Dana on speakerphone. I thought about leaving, just turning around and walking out. But I hadn't eaten real food in 3 days, and I needed something besides ramen and tuna. She saw me. "Ray," she said, like she was surprised I still existed. I gave a half nod and kept walking. But she followed. Of course she did. "What's going on with you?" she asked, looking at the cheap frozen lasagna in my hand like it personally offended her. "Are you seriously eating that stuff? It's full of sodium." "I don't really have options," I muttered. She laughed, an actual laugh, like I was the punchline. Well, she said, I guess it's true what Dana said. When men don't feel appreciated, they fall apart. She just wanted someone who don't. I snapped, louder than I meant to. People turned. She flinched. Then her expression hardened. You're just bitter, she said quietly. You couldn't give her what she needed, and now you're lashing out at everyone else. I looked at her for a long time. This was my sister. The one I gave money to without hesitation. The one I defended when her ex trashed her online. The one who used to crash on my couch for weeks at a time. Now she was standing in a Whole Foods in yoga pants and fake sympathy, acting like I brought this on myself. I hope it was worth it, I said. I really do. She turned and walked away without answering. That night, I sat in the dark on my mattress, no bed frame, staring at the ceiling. I thought about everything I'd done for everyone. All the favors. The money. The patience. And I realized something nobody wants to admit. No one is coming to save you. No one. So I saved myself. I dug out my old laptop and enrolled in 3 online classes: aviation logistics, business management, and supply chain fundamentals. Paid with a credit card I'd been saving for emergencies. This counted. I woke up at 5, worked at the hangar from 6 to 4, took a janitor shift 3 nights a week at a warehouse near the airport, then stayed up until 1 watching lectures with a notebook in my lap and a space heater humming in the corner. It was brutal, but it was mine. For the first time in weeks, I had a plan. A reason to keep going. They left me behind. Now I'd make damn sure they couldn't catch up. Some people chase dreams. I chased hours. I stopped counting how many weeks passed like that. Work, class, side gigs, sleep and tower stretches. I'd nod off on the bus with safety glasses still hanging from my collar and wake up with notebook pages stuck to my cheek. Didn't matter. Every shift, every hour of sleep I skipped, it all fed into the same mission. Never need anyone again. At the hangar, things started shifting. My supervisor, Hank, mid-60s, ex-military, didn't believe in small talk, began hovering behind me more. Not in a bad way. Just watching. I'd reworked the storage log for the parts room one night while waiting for my bus. Fixed the labeling system. Cleaned up the spare hydraulic fittings. I didn't even tell anyone. Just did it. A week later, Hank grunted. Inventory report was actually readable this time. That you? I nodded. Huh, he said, and walked off. But after that, he started sending me tasks usually meant for the lead tech. Scheduling the parts run. Reviewing checklists. Coordinating with the tower for plane movements. He didn't say anything about it, just handed me the clipboard one day and walked away. So I stepped up. One night, I stayed behind to run through a maintenance backlog nobody wanted to touch. I cross-referenced it with the shop's spare inventory, flagged the overdue ones, and drafted a schedule that could knock out half the list in 4 days. I printed it and taped it to the wall. Next morning, Hank called me into the break room. I thought maybe I overstepped. He poured a cup of burnt coffee and said, "You ever thought about taking over this place?" I blinked. What? He shrugged. I'm getting tired. My knees ain't what they used to be. You got a head on your shoulders. Fix stuff without being asked. Crew listens to you even when you don't say much. That matters. I stared at him. You buying me out? I asked. He smirked. I said think about it. Not tomorrow, but maybe down the line. Could work something out. Monthly terms. Make it easier. That conversation lit a fire under me. I doubled down. Started skipping the janitor shift to focus on my courses. Spent my breaks reading case studies on hangar operations and warehouse optimization. Reorganized the entire bolt bin by thread size and part number. Created a digital logbook. Started a spreadsheet to track aircraft cycles and predict maintenance needs before they hit the calendar. The place ran smoother. Faster. Hank noticed. You make me look lazy, he muttered one morning. It's irritating. I took it as a compliment. I cut expenses everywhere I could. Ate peanut butter sandwiches. Switched from a bus pass to a bike. Got rid of my phone data plan and used Wi-Fi only. Every dollar went into a savings folder labeled buyout. And I wasn't just scraping by anymore. I was rising. Lena didn't know. Dana didn't know. My parents still thought I was adjusting. Let them. I didn't know anyone updates. I'd been their backup plan. Their emotional bank account. Their throwaway brother who couldn't keep his wife. Now I was the guy getting ready to own the damn hangar. Pain had turned into fuel. Rejection into momentum. I was too focused to be bitter. Too busy to be broken. Every day I walked into that shop, I walked taller. Let them laugh. Let them gossip. I'd be the one standing at the top when it was all said and done. It started with a text from Marcus, one of the mechanics who still ran in the same condo circle as Dana. Yo, heard your ex's pilot flew off for good. Like, for real. Moved to Texas. Didn't even say goodbye. I stared at the screen, not sure how to respond. Then he sent a second message. Also, Lena's been calling around for job leads. Guess her sugar ride's over. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. I just sat there in the break room with my lunch. A peanut butter sandwich and a banana. feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and detachment. I didn't celebrate. I didn't send any smug replies. I just chewed slowly and thought, this is what happens when the mask slips. I kept hearing little things. Dana had tried to get on a lease with the pilot, but his credit was trash. She ended up moving into a short-term rental after the condo booted her for unpaid dues. Mutual said she'd been showing up at wine tastings alone lately, quieter than usual. Lena? She'd stopped posting brunch selfies. No more rooftop champagne or designer bags tagged with #blessed. I found out through an old friend that the pilot wasn't wealthy. He was behind on child support and up to his neck in debt. Dana bought the image, not the man. I should have felt triumphant, but all I felt was distance, like they were just faces I used to recognize. While they scrambled, I kept climbing. Hank handed me the formal buyout papers one Friday afternoon, grease on his hands and sweat darkening the collar of his shirt. Everything we talked about's in here, he said, dropping the envelope on my workbench. Flexible terms. No interest. You give me a fair check every month, and in 3 years, she's yours. I turned the papers over, skimming the numbers. It was doable. Tight, but doable. You sure about this? I asked. He nodded. Been sure for a while. You earned it. A week later, I put an offer on a 2-bedroom fixer-upper across the river. Modest. Nothing fancy. But it had a garage, a tiny yard, and enough space to breathe. The closing date was set for the end of the month. I was finally standing on my own land. Not borrowed, not shared. Mine. That's when Lena texted me. Hey, can we talk? No explanation. No apology. Just those 4 words, like she tripped and landed on a keyboard. I didn't respond right away. Then she followed up with, things have been hard. I miss my brother. I stared at that screen for a long time. Thought about all the years I'd covered her rent, fixed her car, answered late-night calls when she was crying over some loser who treated her like garbage. All the mornings I'd walked into work half dead from sleepless nights, helping her figure out her life. And she picked Dana. She picked spa days and champagne brunches over blood. Now she was fishing for a way back. I locked my phone and slid it face down on the table. Some bridges don't need to burn. Some you just walk away from and let the rot take care of the rest. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused. She could keep her guilt. Dana could keep her regrets. I was too busy building something they could never take. Not this time. I was halfway through moving boxes into my new place when I heard the knock. Not the casual kind. Not the hey, neighbor kind. It was sharp. Heavy. The kind that announced bad news before you even opened the door. I set down a box of socket wrenches and wiped my hands on my jeans. When I pulled the door open, there she was. Lena. Hair pulled into a rushed ponytail, makeup smudged, holding a baby in one arm and gripping a rolling suitcase with the other. Behind her stood 2 more kids, her twins, each holding a duffel bag and looking like they'd been dragged out of a car mid-nap. Ray, she said, voice shaking. Please. I didn't say a word. I just stepped outside and shut the door behind me. What's going on? I asked, already knowing I wouldn't like the answer. We got evicted, she said quickly, eyes darting like she was waiting for someone to overhear. I've been trying to stay with friends, but it's not working out. And the shelters are all full, and she trailed off, then looked up at me, eyes glassy. I thought maybe, just until I get back on my feet. I crossed my arms. You thought I'd let you move in. She nodded, sniffling. It's just temporary. You have the space. And the kids, they don't have anywhere else to go. She said it like it was a fact, like it was already settled. I looked at the twins. They were quiet, confused. They didn't ask to be part of this. But I didn't forget. I couldn't. You remember last year? I said, my voice low. When I lost my marriage, my home, and you picked Dana's side because her new boyfriend had better wine? She blinked. That's not fair. No, Lena. What's not fair is you laughing in photos with the woman who torched my life while I slept on a twin mattress next to a busted space heater. What's not fair is being used like an ATM for 10 years and then tossed aside like I was embarrassing to be seen with. That wasn't. You told me I drove Dana into another man's arms. You said that in a grocery store while I was buying clearance chili. Her jaw clenched. She tried again. They're just kids, Ray. They didn't do anything to you. I nodded. They didn't. But you did. And I don't trust you to live in my house. Wow, she snapped, the tears gone as fast as they came. You think this new place makes you better than the rest of us? You think just because you finally crawled out of your pathetic little rut, you get to act like God now? I didn't flinch. You're right, I said. I did crawl out. And I'm not going back. Not for you. Not for anyone. She stepped closer, voice dripping with venom. You know why no one stays in your life, Ray? Because you make it impossible. You're cold. You're selfish. You're unlovable. I smiled. Just barely. You said that before. In that same grocery store. Then I opened the door, stepped inside, and closed it in her face. The next morning, I filed a no trespass order and had cameras installed, one facing the porch, one watching the driveway. I didn't wait to see what she'd do next. I didn't wonder how she'd spin the story. I just locked my doors, literally and figuratively. And for the first time, they stayed locked. It was close to midnight when I heard the knock. This one wasn't angry. It was slow, hesitant. I was on the couch, half asleep, laptop open in my lap, and voices from the hangar glowing on the screen. I muted the TV and listened. Another knock. Then silence. I stood, walked to the door, and checked the camera feed. When I saw who it was, I almost didn't open it. Dana. Hair tied back, no makeup, sweatshirt too big for her. She looked like a stranger wearing my ex-wife's skin. I opened the door just enough to lean against the frame. You lost. Her lips twitched, like she was deciding whether to cry or fake a smile. She went with neither. Can we talk? I stared at her. The same woman who had looked me in the eye a year ago and said, "You're boring. You're comfortable. I want more." I didn't say yes, but I didn't shut the door either. She took that as permission. Greg left, she said. Just packed up and moved to Houston. Didn't even leave a note. Took his stuff while I was at work. Work? I almost laughed. She used to call my job manual labor with wings. I lost the condo, she continued. And the car, it was leased under his name. I'm staying at a friend's place, but she's moving in with her boyfriend, and she trailed off. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't come here for money, she added quickly. I didn't know where else to go. You were always the one I could count on. Even when things were bad, you were steady. She looked up at me, eyes red, lip trembling. I made mistakes. I know that now. But you loved me once, Ray. Doesn't that count for something? There it was. The plea for comfort disguised as nostalgia. The desperation wrapped in soft words and long glances. She was hoping the man who once bought her roses after a 16-hour shift would still be in there somewhere. But he wasn't. Not for her. I let the silence hang just long enough to hurt. Then I chuckled. Just once. Cold. You know what's funny? I said. You thought I'd be stuck. Alone. Broken. But I rebuilt. I made it. Without you. Her face dropped. I'm not your safe place anymore, Dana. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not your anything. She blinked hard. Ray, I shut the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it. Quiet. Final. I stood there for a second, staring at the grain in the wood, listening to the sound of her steps fading off my porch. Then I turned around, walked back to my couch, and sat down. For the first time since everything fell apart, I felt nothing. No rage. No ache. No wish for what used to be. Just peace. And silence. And the sound of my life finally, truly, moving forward. They showed up on a Sunday. I was halfway through staining a workbench in the garage, radio low, coffee gone cold. I heard the engine first, my dad's old sedan, tires crunching across the gravel I'd just paid to have delivered. I didn't move. 2 doors opened. Closed. Then the knock. I let it ring once, twice. Then I wiped my hands on a rag, walked over, and opened the door. My parents stood there like a couple from an insurance ad. Mom in a cardigan she probably wore to church that morning, Dad in his weekend warrior windbreaker. Both trying too hard to look casual. Ray, Mom said. We need to talk. I stepped aside without a word. Let them sit on the couch while I stayed standing. She cleared her throat. It's about Lena. Of course it was. She's struggling, she started, voice soft and rehearsed. Really struggling. And the kids, they're innocent in all this. I didn't say anything. She was wrong, Dad jumped in. What she said. How she acted. We don't agree with all of it. But she's still your sister. I raised an eyebrow. Still my sister. Like Dana was still my wife. They shifted in their seats. Uncomfortable now. Mom leaned forward, trying the warm voice. Ray, this isn't about the past. This is about right now. She needs a roof. A little help. The kids. You mean the same kids she used to guilt me on my porch? I cut in. The one she dangled in front of me while insulting me in the same breath? Dad frowned. Son, be reasonable. Reasonable? I said. You both stood by while I was thrown out of my marriage, betrayed by my sister, and pushed into a moldy apartment like I didn't exist. And now I'm the unreasonable one? They fell silent. You told me to compromise, I continued. To forgive. To move on. But you only say that when they want something. Mom's eyes shimmered. Ray, don't let money harden your heart. I exhaled slowly. Money didn't change me. Abandonment did. She looked wounded, like I'd slapped her. You all picked comfort over truth. Over me. Now you want to play the family card when it's convenient. Dad shook his head. We raised you better than this. No, I said. You raised me to stay quiet. To give. To fix other people's messes and never ask for anything back. They stood. Slowly. Defeated. Mom tried once more. Ray, is this really who you are now? I met her eyes. No. This is who I had to become to survive the version of family you gave me. I walked to the door and opened it. They didn't argue, didn't look back. They just stepped out into the bright afternoon, got in the car, and drove away. I closed the door behind them and stood still. The silence was different now. Not empty, just clean. I knew something was off the second I pulled into the driveway. There was a van parked on the curb, one of those rusted-out family types with duct tape on the side mirror and a cracked windshield. I'd never seen it before. Not on the street. Not near my house. And then I saw her. Lena. On my porch. Again. This time she wasn't alone. The twins sat on the steps, backpacks beside them. Her youngest was strapped to her hip, already whining. 2 suitcases and a diaper bag were piled by the door like they were checking into a hotel. I killed the engine and sat there for a second, my hands locked around the steering wheel. I'd filed the no trespass order. I'd told her clearly, legally, finally, to stay away. But there she was, waiting like nothing had changed. I stepped out of the truck. Don't, I said. Don't say a word. Just gather your stuff and go. Ray, please, she said, her voice hoarse like she'd practiced this in the mirror and worked up tears on the drive over. We've got nowhere else. The van's not even mine. I borrowed it. I'm out of options. You already used your options, I said coldly. And you burned them all. The twins looked up. Tired. Confused. She shifted the baby, eyes pleading. We'll stay in the garage. Just a week. I'll cook. I'll clean. I swear. Just don't make them sleep in that van. I stared at her. You weaponized those kids against me. You sided with the woman who destroyed my marriage. And now you're here again, trying to cash in on my sympathy like it's still available. They're your family too, she whispered. No, I said. They're your responsibility. And it's about time you remembered that. Her voice rose. Sharp, cutting. You're a cold bastard, you know that? You think you're better than all of us because you fixed up a broken hangar and bought a house with a fence. I didn't flinch. You think having money makes you right. But it doesn't. It makes you selfish. You've always been selfish. That's why Dana left. That's why no one calls. You're impossible to love. I stepped closer. You know what's funny? I said, voice low and steady. You said the same thing a year ago. In that store aisle. Called me unlovable while I was buying instant noodles and counting loose change. She blinked. But now that I've got something to lose, suddenly you want back in. I walked up the steps, pulled the keys from my pocket, and pointed at the camera above the porch. You're on record. I gave you a legal warning. You violated it. You're not staying. You're not even standing here much longer. She opened her mouth. But that's when the cop car pulled in behind me. Right on cue. I had called them from the truck before I even got out. 2 officers stepped out, calm but firm. One approached me, the other addressed Lena. Ma'am, you've been informed about this no trespass order already, correct? Her face fell. Ray, she whispered, stunned now. You called the cops on me? I looked her dead in the eye. I warned you. One officer started gathering the kids' bags while the other escorted her toward the curb. The baby wailed. The twins shuffled along quietly, their heads down. It wasn't easy to watch. But it was necessary. Boundaries mean nothing if you don't enforce them. After they left, I walked back inside, locked the door, and stood at the window. Outside, the street was quiet again. Inside, I finally felt like I was home. Alone. Exactly the way I needed it to be. I was alone in the hangar after hours, the hum of the overhead lights the only sound left in the building. A soft smell of jet fuel still lingered in the corners, familiar, grounding. I wiped my hands on a rag and looked around. It was mine now. The papers were signed last week. Hank handed over the last of the keys with a quiet nod and a rare, "You did good, kid." I didn't throw a party. I didn't make an announcement. Just clocked in the next morning like always and got to work, the way I'd done since the day my life cracked in half. The hangar looked the same, but everything inside it was different. The tools were cleaner. The shelves were labeled. The schedules ran on time. The crew listened when I spoke now, not because I barked orders, but because I earned it. Every long shift. Every late night. Every cold sandwich at 2 a.m. in the back office. I pulled out my phone and took a picture, nothing dramatic, just the shop floor at dusk. Golden light pouring in from the open bay doors. Tools hung neatly on the walls. The kind of shot no one would think twice about. I posted it online with 2 words, made it. That's all. The likes rolled in. Some from old coworkers. A few from mutuals who had seen me at my lowest and probably didn't expect the comeback. Then came the messages. Damn, man. Didn't think you'd turn it around like that. You own that place now? Respect. But mixed in were others. From people I hadn't heard from in years. Dana, of course. Liked the post. No comment. Lena sent a single heart emoji. And a message. Proud of you. Hope we can talk sometime. I didn't reply. I didn't delete it either. Just let it sit there. Like a pebble at the edge of a driveway, easy to step around, easy to ignore. That night, I sat on the porch of my little house with a cup of coffee, the sky stretching out in front of me, full of stars. No one was yelling. No one was asking for anything. No one was at my door. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't wondering if peace was around the corner. I was sitting in it. I thought about everything I'd lost. Then I thought about everything I'd built. People come and go. Promises break. Love turns cold. But work? Purpose? That stays if you hold on long enough. I didn't have a family anymore. Not the kind you invite to Christmas. But I had this, a business, a home, a quiet heart, and the kind of strength you can only earn by walking through fire and coming out on your own 2 feet. And when the wind blew across the porch and rustled the trees, I closed my eyes and smiled. I was finally exactly where I was supposed to be. Alone, but free.